Drop the beat.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never. 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 I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I never liked him.
Drop the beat.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never. 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 I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I never liked him.
Drop the beat.
I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I'm a never Trump guy. I never. 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 I'm a never Trump guy. I never liked him. I never liked him.
All right. So a couple things I want to go over. I think first things first, honestly. I think it's fine for me to put this off. Okay. I don't know if I'll make this a thumbnail, but reaction face. W. So Sam Piker's been pretty cringe online. Um, and for me, I'm not a fan of Hassan Piker. And Hassan Piker blocked me on Twitter. So shout out. I think this guy is kind of like the worst parts of the far left. And now he's getting kind of exposed too much. And he's becoming an easy identifier for people. And they're able to make lazy conclusions about the Democratic Party because of things that Hassan Piker has said or has done. And we know that the MAGA movement is willing to do whatever means necessary to lie, propagandize wrong information about the Democratic Party overall. So the reason why I bring that up is because recently Abdul El Sayed apparently put out a statement in regards to Hassan Piker. Um, so let's look at the statement its an entirety. So I believe all Americans deserve the right to advocate for what they believe without fear of violence. I agree with. This is particularly true for communities that have been intimidated for their beliefs in the past. My commitment to Jewish safety is the same as my commitment to the safety of my own daughters. Anti Semitism is a scourge and we need to address it in all its forms. That's a really strong statement to make, immediately indicating that you're not on the side of the far leftists that basically treat Jewish people as demon spawns, even though they're not religious. So I appreciate Abdul Sayed for saying that. Honestly, I really do appreciate it. Um, and I stand against any rhetoric that puts the community at risk. But I want to be crystal clear. Nobody speaks for this campaign besides me and my campaign spokespeople. And while politicians and pundits try to make this race about a Twitch streamer, the Twitch streamer being Hassan Piker, and the fact that he doesn't name drop him is interesting. I have no conclusions. I have no inference to make from that, but it is interesting. We're going to be talking about gas, groceries, good schools, and healthcare because that's what Michiganders keep asking about. It's why I'm fighting to get money out of politics, money in your pocket, and Medicare for all. So his slogan: money out of politics, money in your pocket, Medicare for all. Pretty tight, concrete slogan. So El Sayed very cleanly separates himself from Hassan Piker with this statement. And that's what I appreciate. Now, of course, people are going to ask follow up questions. And if he does more streams or if Hassan Piker takes photos with him, people are going to wonder, was this a genuine statement or not? Now, you may be wondering exactly why is this statement necessary? Well, because Hassan Piker decided to be edgy and say stupid shit despite him being involved in politics. Now, I'm all for trolls and jokes and memes and all that stuff, but it's one thing to meme and joke, and it's another thing to say you're memeing and joking, but you actually mean what you're saying, but you're trying to disguise it as something that is a little bit more sarcastic. It's like when a racist dude goes out and jokes about black people, but in reality, he's a racist piece of garbage. So let's pull up some things that Hassan Piker has said. All right, here's what I'm talking about.
And if Jews in America keep, and you want to know why? Because people don't fuck with Israel any longer. And if Jews in America keep putting this idea out there that they are singularly invested in Israel, eventually someone's going to come around and take action, not against the state of Israel, mind you, but against American Jews. Okay? We're teaching people the wrong lesson. I don't know how people don't recognize how dangerous this predicament is, how dangerous this is for Jews. You're running around basically tying your entire identity to a country that inevitably will be seen as basically Jewish ISIS. And you're saying, as Jews, this is all we care about. You're making anti-Semitism worse. And you want to know why? Because people don't fuck with Israel any longer. And if Jews in America...
So this statement right here is causing a lot of backlash, obviously, because from the statement itself, it seems like he is insinuating that if you're a Jewish person in America and you support Israel, then that and therefore you may be harmed. You may be attacked. It might be dangerous for you. You're basically a terrorist, calling them Jewish ISIS. And there's ways to have certain conversations that I'm willing to recognize. Truthful statements like, if you advocate for a specific political position, there's a chance for you to be attacked because of there's harmful people out there. But again, there's always context on how statements are made, who's making the statement, and the current political climate. And that's important. For example, when we're talking about trans issues and we got Ennis Cantor's bitch ass pretending like he cares about trans people, but in reality, he's raising an issue that is not an issue, in regards to the WNBA purely to raise his profile, but he's disguising it in a way to make it seem like he's doing this injustice for women's rights. I'm sure you guys seen the clip recently regarding Enes Kanter going to a WNBA game, wearing a stupid fucking shirt, and stepping across the line to, I don't know, intimidate a WNBA athlete. What are we doing? The context matters. Ennis doesn't care about women's rights. He doesn't care about trans people. He cares about his own clout. The context for Hassan Piker is that this guy has been spouting anti-Semitic, anti-Jew, anti-Israel stuff for so long at this point, and he's cultivated a group, a climate of Hassan leftists that are antagonistic to Jewish people. Honestly, you could play a game. I don't even want to say it like that, but you can see some of the things that leftists are saying versus things that Nazis were saying, and it would be 1-to-1. So he's cultivated this climate of this kind of anti-Jewish, anti-Israel sentiment. And now he's trying to fearmonger them, saying, if you're in America, and you're not even in Israel, if you're in America and you're Jewish and you support Israel, it might be dangerous for you. Because there are people that are Jewish that support Israel, but don't support Netanyahu and the far-right Israeli government. And yes, you can make that detachment. It's just like if you support America and the Americans' principles and America's right to exist, doesn't mean you support Donald Trump, MAGA, and its fascist government right now. It's you support the country's existence, and you could support some of the core values of why the country exists in the first place. So yeah, people like Haley Stevens still believes Israel should exist, but she also does not like Netanyahu and wants to get him out of here because he's making it harder for Jewish people around the world. So yeah, this is quite concerning when you say something like this, and that is why El Sayed decided to go out of his way to detach himself from Hassan Piker. So you kind of understand why that is what is he doing right here, and it's same with Mamdani when he separated himself from Hassan Piker for his 9/11 comments, of course. So yeah, Hassan Piker, very cringe, very not base by any means, and shout out El Sayed for making that distinction, because that's what I was hoping for, that he would just make his campaign his own, make his messaging his own. And it doesn't really stop there with Hassan Piker, because for some odd reason, he decided to do this at a, I don't know what this was, but let's listen to this. Unafraid to die. This is so immature. This is so immature. I want to be very clear. He's singing a song about Charlie Kirk and making fun of his death and all that stuff. And I hate Charlie Kirk. I hate his existence. I hate everything he's done for America. I don't care that he's dead at all. And I'm not even emotionally attached to the fact that he's dead. I want to make that very clear. With that said, when you're in politics, Hassan Piker, which it seems like you're trying to be in, and when you're growing a base of people to engage in politics, there's a certain level of maturity and there's a certain level of responsibility you should acquiesce to the American people, for the American people, because you're just cultivating, again, more Hassan leftists that are unhinged. This is inappropriate. You're in the political game. It's either you're in politics or you're not in politics. Be honest with what you got, but you can't do stuff like this, because what it's going to do, it's going to reflect badly on all the other political pundits that associate with you. which is why El Sayed separated himself from you, which is why Imam Dami separated from you. AOC, I don't know why you protected him, but you're definitely not going to protect. Hey, what do you think about Sam Piker singing a song about the death of Charlie Kirk? I'm like, bro, most people are going to look at that and say, yo, what the fuck is going on? This is cringe. It's just, what are we doing? We're not taking things seriously when it comes down to it. We're making memes, we're making jokes, we're working with terrorists, we're saying anti-Semitic things, we're pseudo threatening American Jews, we are saying America deserves 9/11. These are unserious political statements from someone who wants to be serious in politics. It's crazy. I love my jokes. But at some point, Hassan, you got to realize where you're at. And it just seems like all he cares about is raising his name profile, and he doesn't actually care about what he does and how it affects the political atmosphere and the political landscape. It's cringe. It's cringe. What are we doing? But yeah, this is just another example of people going to be using this as a means to go, hey, Democratic Party, you guys, your biggest left wing streamer is singing about a guy's dead. And of course, it's hypocritical. MAGA Republicans are hypocrites. We know this. But every time we have this conversation, it's not how MAGA is going to respond, because they're going to be hypocrites and they're going to use every evil tactic to raise their own profile. It is, how are the American people, the general populist voters, going to respond? And unfortunately, this guy's being propagated by so many different news sources as a Joe Rogan of the left, and he's not at all. Yes, I can see this. So that was cringe. And then I saw this one other clip, this one right here. And I'm like,
that's my new thing. America, it does not deserve 9/11. That's my new thing now. He's been rehabbing his image, which is why 9/11. That's my new thing now. He's been rehabbing his. It does not deserve 9/11. That's my new thing now. America, it does not deserve 9/11. That's my new thing now. He's been rehabbing his image.
America, so it seems like he's trying to take back his statement, which he should have done a long time ago. Maybe he has. I haven't seen it. But now he's saying America did not deserve a 9/11. And you could see the response from his base from this clip. Now, this is all contextual. I'm willing to change my mind. Maybe all the clips that I showed you was out of context, and I'm willing to accept that. But in this clip, he says, you know what, America doesn't deserve 9/11. And the Hassan leftists booed that because they're already on the road map that you put out of hating America and thinking that they're the most evil country in the world. So yeah, this is it's good that El Sayed is separating himself from Hassan Piker. It's very good. It's very good. Okay. Some other things I wanted to look at real quickly. I'm not gonna react to that. I think that was just stupid. Thumbnail image. So I came across another clip that I wanted to look at real quick. Sad fact, the person was talking about pets and joined Robot to see their first robot pet and got banned for no reason. I'm not exactly sure the context. Of course, I know about the Roblox pet thing, pedo thing, but I don't know exactly what you're referring to, the context you're referring to. But Mark Cuban said something kind of wild. Apparently, he said he would be a Republican if he ran for president. And are we surprised that more billionaires are trying to take responsibility as the leaders of the free world? No, of course not. I wouldn't be surprised if Elon Musk tries it. And sooner rather than later. And I like Mark Cuban, all intents and purposes. Sometimes, I mean, I don't think he has bad intentions. He's one of the probably better, very, very rich. I think he's a billionaire. But yeah, let's look at this clip.
You should run as a Republican. That would fuck them up.
Oh, no, that's what, if I was going to run,
Yeah.
that's what I would do. I can't win as a Democrat, not with
Yeah.
the DSAs and all that
No,
shit
yeah,
there.
yeah.
Right? And by the way, speaking of Medicare for All, I read Al Said's book on Medicare for All. It's not bad. He has a lot in common with Trump on some of his positions on drugs. But, you know, it wasn't a bad book. But in any event, I think people just look for things that are
Right.
not what is, they're looking for something different.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Going from the Tea Party to, you know.
So I don't know how seriously we should take the first statement. Do I like it? No, because the Republican Party doesn't exist anymore. Do I understand the sentiment that he's trying to make? Yes. So if I were to take his statement at face value, one, I don't think he plans to run for president. I think this is just like a hypothetical world. Two, this, I'm guessing he's referring to the fact that if a Republican Party were to exist, right now it doesn't. Maybe a normal Republican Party, he would run as a normal Republican. That's me giving him a good faith perception of that. The bad faith perception is he thinks that the Republican Party still exists and it would be under this kind of MAGA version of Republican. And I think that is ridiculous. But he would have more of an opportunity to win the presidency under Republican than Democrat. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And the third point about it for his first statement is, I'm guessing the point he's trying to make is that the DSA would hate him purely because he's a billionaire, obviously, and they don't want billionaires to exist. And generally, I'm not a fan of billionaires either, but they go way farther with it than I do in every sense of the word. So I don't know. The good faith version is he's trying to make a very clear calculation on how the DSA is being very anti-billionaire. I don't like the statement. I don't think you should say it, but that's me being good faith. Bad faith is he thinks that the DSA is destroying the Democratic Party and he's grifting to Republican. That's so wherever you want to fall in the line of those two interpretations, go for it. But yeah, I don't know how to take it. And then his comment about El Sayed and how El Sayed and Trump are similar in terms of what they say about drug prices. The good faith version is he honestly thinks that. And technically you could say that because there are some similarities between even Biden's administration and the Trump administration in terms of capping drug prices. There are similarities there. That's just objectively true. So the good faith perception of that is that that's what he was referring to, how they both want to cap drug prices because they think that big pharma corporations are going too far. The bad faith interpretation of that is that El Sayed has rhetorical populist messaging similar to Trump. Now, I haven't read El Sayed's book, so I don't know if that is the case. Is it more of a analysis or is it more rhetorical? I'm not sure. This is hard to say. This is a clip. This is what the clip requires more context. But I could see people being very upset or very nuanced with what Cuban is saying. And he's kind of joking. So my intuition is that he's being more good faith. I know people are going to hate that. He's being more good faith than bad faith in what he's saying here. But that's just me. Do I play Roblox? No, I don't play Roblox. I do not at all. But appreciate the sub. Medieval courts in Europe put animals on trial, changing them with actual crimes like crop destruction. Oh, that's interesting. I don't know what to say about that. All right, let's continue this clip though.
You know, change it, hope and change, Tea Party, Trump, not Trump, J6, now that are not what is. They're looking for something different.
Right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Going from the Tea Party to, you know, change it, hope and change, Tea Party, Trump, not Trump, J6, now DSA, anything that's different. It's just like what people said to me about Trump. Trump won. I had a buddy I played basketball.
Well, what Cuban said there is correct. It's absolutely correct. People do want change. They thought the change was going to be the Tea Party. The Tea Party, in all intents and purposes, was completely overthrown with the MAGA populist movement. And then the MAGA populist movement, just like the Tea Party, well, the Tea Party was pushing out populist economic messaging. MAGA took it and started utilizing more populist social messaging in addition to populist economic messaging. And then, of course, Trump became president. It was dog shit. He did a terrible job. He's destroying the country. And now people are going like, those two things didn't work. Let's use populist messaging from a left-wing perspective, which is DSA. Now, of course, I think the DSA movement gets overblown and overutilized as a or overemphasized as a means of democratic control. But no doubt about it, it is still there's still momentum that is growing from this wanting of change beyond the establishment. That's just true.
With, and I'm like, I know this guy, yada, yada, yada. He's like, let me just tell you something. I've been voting for politicians my entire life. You know what they've done for me? Nothing. Why would I vote for a politician again? I've been voting for Democrats my entire life. You know what they've done for me?
Right. All right. So then what are you going to do? Run as a Republican? That would be kind of.
Oh, that would be fun, though.
They
would be
would
so
lose.
much
Would you just
fun.
please do it just for
It
just
would
to
be
drive him?
fun.
JD Vance's
but-
head would blow off.
Yeah, and the competitive side of me likes that part, but doesn't like the governing part at all.
I want to take Cuban's words in a more good faith perception, because he's right. If when Donald Trump leaves, there's a vacuum. And that vacuum can be either filled with another Trump loyalist, MAGA bullshitter like JD Vance. That vacuum can be filled with a Trump allied, but more of a neocon traditional Republican like Marco Rubio. Or that vacuum can be filled with someone with the status of a Trump, but is better economically, better financially, better character, better morals, and actually does things in the best interest of the people. That's my perception of Cuban in comparison to Trump. It would be interesting, and it could shift the Republican Party right back into normalcy with a Cuban over a Vance and over a Rubio. It could. That is. I understand the idea. I understand the logic. Of course, people are going to be like, how could you? But the reason why MAGA sucks is because the MAGA movement is the MAGA movement is utilizing Trump's cult-like appeal to do this fascist unitary executive bullshit. Now, if you replace that individual with someone who still has all the external traits, but the better character, we're just replacing him with dare I say, benevolent king. I don't want that. I want the Republican Party to honestly get disbanded at this point because they have betrayed the nation. But his calculation is just correct. And that's what I'm giving credence to. But let's not be Republican, please. Card Cuban. I don't like the statement. I think this is inappropriate. I think it was a lazy statement to make. I think you're going to make a lot of people on the left very upset with the idea that you would even consider allying with a traitorous party. I get it. You want to be pro like the top class, but this is bad PR. This is bad PR. This is bad PR. Bad PR. Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that statement by any means. I understand it. Still don't like it. Still do not like the statement. Okay. So, as a response to the statement, I actually wanted to talk about this before I end this real quick. Mehdi Hasan, who's notorious for, I hate his tweets most of the time, unless he's cooking Trump. He responded imagine saying you can't run as a Democrat because of the DSA, which doesn't actually control the Democratic Party, but you can run as a Republican when fascists and white supremacists and election deniers literally run that party's side. So I actually agree with Mehdi here. Surprising, even though I don't like a lot of what Mehdi is saying, it's brain dead to think a normal Republican Party exists. Is the vision of a normal Republican Party after Trump plausible? Sure, but right now, in every sense of the word, the people in power are aligned with the stuff that Trump is doing. Even if you remove him out of the equation, those people still will exist in power. The DSA does not have power. So Mehdi Hassan is correct. I agree with Mehdi Hassan. And like I said, I don't like the statement from Cuban. I think it's a bad statement. I don't think we should, at any point, if you believe in America and in the American project, ally with Republicans right now. They need to earn the people's trust back. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that statement at all. And then we got people like this. I might as well show this too, because this is just, again, shows the brain deadness of these people. It's like, what are we doing here? Listen to what he has to say. Bill O'Reilly. Bitch ass Bill.
They're smear merchants. This Ossoff. I would not vote for, I'd vote for Putin over Ossoff. That's how bad this guy Ossoff is. And believe me, if I were President Trump, I'd be combing everything that Ossoff's ever done for doing this. But you don't get any of that from the press. You got ho, 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 ha, 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 but you didn't get condemnation. They're smear merchants.
So we hear Cubans say the bullshit about running as Republican, and then we hear Bill O'Reilly's bitch ass talking about he would vote for Putin over John Ossoff. I just don't know how we got here. We're picking fascists to run the country, and we're making these and we're picking dictators over the country. I get it. I hate DSA. I think they're anti-American, but why are some of the most influential media people and the richest people in the world, why are they fucking so stupid? Why do they not understand context? Why can't they make simple calculations on what is happening in real life? You're just making things worse when you say that you would vote for a fucking Russian dictator. It just upsets me. That's why a lot of people want a new vision. They want a new outlook. They're done with all these old fossils that keep on wanting to fuck over this country for superficial reasons. They're tired of it. It's pathetic. Okay. I did want to look at this. So, I'll give a look at this. I don't know if I'll make this a video, but maybe. Thumbnail. So there's a lot of hoopla and conversation that happened recently involving Hakeem Jeffries and Jared Kushner. Now, if you don't know who Jared Kushner is, he's a very, very bad guy. I think I have a whole video. I definitely talked about him on my podcast episode, but the quick rundown is Jared Kushner is a family member of Trump. He's been helping Trump for a very long time and helping increase his wealth, him and his family's. And he's also being used as a special envoy to communicate with foreign, what are they called? Dictatorial? No. Just foreign leaders to talk in behalf of the American government. And what makes this bad is he's not a part of the government, so he's not held to any ethics rules. So while he negotiates in behalf of the American government with Steve Witkoff, he's also negotiating with them to help the Trump family like business empire as well, which is why there's so many foreign deals happening underneath the table that people are not talking about enough. Like some of the like golf courses or what they're doing in Gaza, or the recent deal they had with Saudi Arabia, where Trump is trying to build some stuff in Saudi Arabia. So Jared Kushner is the epitome of a corrupt tool utilized by Trump to do corrupt shit for the Trump family. Jared Kushner is a bad guy. He's a bad guy. Hakeem Jeffries is the Speaker of the House, and apparently they had a meeting, and a lot of people are upset. Now, me, just because two people have a meeting doesn't automatically make me upset. It depends on what the meeting is about. So there's an article. I want to look at it. Let's look at it. I don't know. Maybe we won't get further context, but we'll see. So Representative Hakeem Jeffries, Democrat of New York, and the minority leader. Did I say majority? Minority leader of the House, not majority. Met privately in recent weeks with Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, and top outside advisor. I mean, an outside advisor. Again, crazy. And discussed potential areas of common ground, according to 5 people with knowledge of the meeting. This statement, areas of common ground, now that upsets me. That upsets me right there. But we'll keep reading. Hopefully I have the full document, because, New York Times, sometimes you have to pay for everything. And I'm a broke boy. And also, apparently, Hakeem Jeffries had a recent statement. So we'll talk about Hakeem Jeffries' recent statement that just came out on Twitter as well. The rare engagement was held in a private space in New York City, offered up by a mutual friend of the two men, according to 2 people with knowledge of the meeting, and a third who was briefed on it. They and others were granted anonymity to discuss a meeting about which they were not authorized to speak publicly. So a secret meeting that the public can't know about. Okay, not too happy about that. Through aides, neither man would comment on the session, which was described by one person with knowledge of it as a broad conversation on a wide range of topics. Still, its timing underscored that those around Trump were well aware of the likelihood of a Democratic-led House and trying to foster as much of a working relationship as possible before any change. Jeffries is in line to be the Speaker, were Democrats to win the majority. So based off of this, the assumption, because everything is going to be assumption without knowing the full details of what the meeting was about, the assumption is that Trump reached out, or Trump through Kushner, and Kushner is not part of the government, by the way. I just want to remind us that Kushner is doing this meeting. It's crazy. Trump through Kushner, speaking with Jeffries, because he's probably going to be House Majority Leader, and talking about how they're going to deal with the midterm blowout that is going to happen. Okay? Just because this conversation is happening doesn't necessarily mean anything bad. Because there's a lot of validity. We understand there's a lot of validity to talking with your enemies. Just like if a president speaks with Russia, Putin, you're talking with your enemies, but it's good to talk to see what the other side's thinking, the leverage points. There's a lot of validity in talking with your enemies. So that's not necessarily a bad thing. The question is how the conversation was going, what we're talking about, or was there some concessions? Were you giving out information? That is the big part of the big potential issues. So talk with your enemies is not a bad thing. Democrats and the president have been savaging each other on the campaign trail with increasing fury as the midterm elections approach, and as Republicans are fighting to retain their thin House and Senate majorities. Trump has called Jeffries a thug, and at a May campaign event referred to him as low IQ person. I wonder why he thinks he's low IQ. Maybe it's something to do with this, Maybe. Who had inspired him to deride Democrats as the Democrats. Jeffries routinely suggests that Trump is not only extreme but corrupt, vowing that Democrats would hold the crooks accountable if they won control. That's what I like to hear. National politics is mildly entertaining. If you want to know what's going on in the world that's going to affect you personally, you have to understand and study geopolitics. I would argue studying local politics is more important than studying geopolitics, but okay, Russia's not an enemy. Okay, all right, interesting. All right, nothing further needs to be said after you said that. The private get-together was described by one of the people as a catch-up for Kushner and Jeffries. The two men have stayed in touch since they worked together on a criminal justice bill midway through Trump's first term. Interesting. So Actually, can I move this? Nah. Sorry about that. So the private get-together was described by one of the people. The two men have stayed in touch since they worked together on a criminal justice bill midway through. When you say something like this, it does seem like you're insinuating they're buddy-buddy. And I can't confirm or deny that claim. So I'm going to leave it at that. During the recent meeting, the pair discussed housing, immigration, and the high cost of living as potential areas of common ground. Kushner suggested that Jeffries should meet with White House Chief of Staff Susan Wiles. Two people with knowledge of the meeting said. Kushner suggested he speak with the Chief of Staff of the White House. See, I don't like that. The likelihood of any compromises between the White House and Democrats on those issues seem remote. Trump this year refused to sign a bipartisan housing bill, in part because he said it was Warren-centric, referring to Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts, his top Democratic champion. And he was repeatedly expressed openness to a deal with Democrats on immigration, only to back away from any such agreement. He successfully lobbied Republicans to ban a bipartisan border security bill in 2024. White House officials and aide to Kushner did not respond to messages seeking comment. In his statement, Jeffries did not acknowledge the meeting, but suggested that the only way Democrats would cut deals with the administration would be if Republicans were willing to come their way on a cost of living issues, his party's top priorities. Throughout this Congress, Republicans have adopted a my way or the highway approach to governing that has failed the American people, he said. He added, in every conversation that we have with the Trump administration, we'll continue to make it explicitly clear that the affordability crisis is not a hoax, and nothing short of transformational policy change is acceptable. We are fighting for an affordable America. The question is whether Republicans will join us. Interesting. Well, wait till you're paying $10 a gallon for gas and the grocery store doesn't have food, then you think geopolitics are more important. I'll never think geopolitics is more important than local politics. Local politics is the most important politics to the average American. Geopolitics obviously is important generally. I know how geopolitics work, buddy. Russia has never attacked or threatened the United States, therefore it's not an end. Consult a dictionary. Based. Mr. Kushner, who worked as a senior West Wing advisor in the president's first term, is no longer formally part of Trump's government. No longer formally, because he doesn't work for the government. He has been deeply involved in the president's efforts to resolve the war with Iran that Trump began, to force a ceasefire in Gaza, and to bring an end to the Russian invasion of Ukraine. He and Jeffries also met last year, according to people with knowledge of that conversation. The meeting came as nearly as all polls revealed Republicans to be at a disadvantage in the midterm, to show how members of Trump's inner circle is digesting what a Democratic majority next year would look like. Should that happen, Jeffries was under intense pressure from progressives to use his power as a check on Trump, including through aggressive oversight. Kushner is frequently consulted by a number of Trump's advisors, and he's told people that by anything bipartisan is to get done with Congress. Jeffries is the most serious person among Democratic leaders, while he has said is the most serious inside the West Wing. With Republicans in control of both chambers, Trump is mostly steered around Congress in his second term, trampling its power and prerogatives. Jeffries and Trump have danced around questionable what their relationship could look like next year should Democrats take control. I think he's a nice guy. Trump told Punchbowl News. Actually, I skipped this period. To keep the government funded. I think he's a nice guy. I probably get along with him. Wait, when did he say this? Trump told Punchbowl News in a recent interview when asked about Jeffries, I'd probably get along with him very well. I think he's a nice guy. Trump is calling Hakeem Jeffries a nice guy, and he would work with him well. See, I don't like that. Now, to be fair, Trump has also said similar things about Zoran Mamdani. So, I don't know. Trump pointed to a meeting with Jeffries in the Oval Office last fall, the only way they have had in this second term, and described it as a positive one. In fact, during that meeting, which was billed as a bid to avert a government shutdown, the president positioned hats with a Trump 2028 logo directly in front of Jeffries and Senator Schumer, trolling the Democrats with the suggestion that he would run for a third term in the violation of the Constitution. I don't know. Like, when he does stuff like this, I don't understand how we can treat this guy as someone you can work with. Now, you kind of have to work with this guy. You kind of have to work with him because he's the president of the United States and he controls the entirety of the Republican Party. But I could see an argument of you have to play the politics game because you have to manage the ego of Donald Trump. I understand that. But at some point, we got to recognize that this guy's just evil. He's just evil. Trump doesn't think affordability is even a real concept. He doesn't even care about the loss of American soldiers, much less poor people. Trump also likes Kim Jong-un. Okay, now we're agreeing. Agree. Trump thinks personal relations have something to do with geopolitics. For example, I get along with Putin so I can end the war. See, now we're on the same page, Matt. Now we're on the same page. I completely agree with you here. This year, posted AI generated meme of Jeffries wearing sombrero. This year, Jeffries remained non-committal about any plans to pursue a third impeachment of the president. Not discussed publicly what oversight could look like if this party was win the majority. Not ruled anything in and not ruled anything out in terms of accountability. We got to make sure we continue to get rid of toxic Trump cabinet secretaries. PK says, in my view, should be next on the list. Now, I like this fucking statement. I like this statement. We've got to make sure we continue to get rid of toxic Trump cabinet secretaries. He said, Pete Hegseth, in my view, should be next on the list. That is a bar. He said, I won't tell you what we got in store for Trump. Well, we're going to handle slowly and steadily the people around Trump. How do you get to a dictator? You start going after the people around him. That's a bar. Hey, I like that. Because he's right. If you want to weaken Trump, you got to get rid of them. After Hegseth, get rid of Stephen Miller. After Stephen Miller, knock out Steve Witkoff. After Steve Witkoff, who's next? Everybody else is kind of shills. Honestly, Marco Rubio, you can pack his ass up too. That's a bar. All right, what is my conclusion from this entire Hakeem Jeffries and Kushner fiasco? If you're an online media pundit and you're making a big deal out of this, you're the problem with political media right now. I'm not going to lie. This is a issue that can't be confirmed if it's an issue. This is an issue if you like make up scenarios in your head, it's an issue. The truth is, you have to talk with your enemies. The truth is, you have to play the politics game. And the truth is that negotiation and information acquisition from the people on your opposing side is all necessary when it comes to something as complex as running a government. So did anything from this article tell me that I should be concerned about Hakeem Jeffries? No. I don't like his relationship with Kushner. I don't know. I don't know what to make. It's not that I don't like it. It's more so I don't know what to think about it. I don't know what to think about his relationship with Jared Kushner. I would need more context to come to a conclusion. But from statements that he has said, he's called Trump corrupt. He's tried to, him and the Democrats have tried to impeach Trump twice, failed. And he said that he's going to go after Pete Hegseth. And he said that, if the Republicans want to fix the issues for Americans, they should. And these are just good statements to make. These are just good. So, yeah, I think a lot of political people online are just doing a disservice to the complexity behind a meeting like this. But I still don't like Kushner. And I'm going to leave it at that. All right, what are you saying here? The Democrats going to take the House and the Senate, and they're going to do impeachment proceedings that will be successful in the Senate, and Trump is not going to last out his last term. It'll be successful if the Democrats get enough wins in the Senate, 100%. Will they get enough wins in the Senate? I don't know, but it's very possible. Ohio's looking good. Of course, Georgia's good. Iowa interesting. Alaska, interesting. So we don't know. You probably don't think you agree with me because of comments I made about the Russian Federation. Let me ask you a question. Do you know anything about Putin? What is his middle name? Do I need to know someone's middle name to have thoughts about Putin and Russia? Does do I need to? Apparently, I also need to know his college degrees and who he killed in the KGB to have opinions on Putin. I didn't know that was a requirement. Um, this is good. This is like good Russian propaganda talking points. Do you really know this guy? It's like if someone from Nazi Germany was going, "Do you know Hitler's middle name? Do you know what he wrote about in Mein Kampf? Do you know the art that he was making?" No, I don't need to know any of that shit. No, I don't. I don't need to. Um, I'll give you a hint. I'm pretty much of a geopolitical expert. Congratulations. And I regularly study every day the top dozen or so geopolitical analysts in the world, as well as hey, I love to see it. Stephen Miller is a huge problem. We Gary there. So it seems like we probably vehemently disagree regarding Russia. I don't know where you're from, so I won't come to any conclusions. But I respect the knowledge, and I would appreciate the knowledge. I don't accept the terms of needing to know Putin's personal life to critique Putin and his relationship with America. But I respect some of the points you're bringing up. Kushner's in bed with Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and Israel make profits for his family. Oh, see, we agree there as well. I guess the only disagreement we have is with Russia, which is, interesting. Okay. After reading this article, anyone all right, that's all we got for. Oh, actually, I did want to look at Hakeem Jeffries' recent statement. Okay, let's pull this up real quick. So, Hakeem Jeffries, the malicious claim that American Jews are inviting violence against themselves is dangerous and anti-Semitic. There's zero justification for threats against the safety of our Jewish brothers and sisters at the moment of rising hate. Fight the cancer of anti-Semitism with the fierce urgency of now. So, yeah. A lot of people are condemning Hassan Piker's recent comments, as they should, because it's a stupid thing to say. For sure. Okay. Shout out Kim Jeffries. Okay. What is next on my docket? Okay. Time to do some research. I think before I want to do some debate prep research. But before I do that, let me do some panel research. Trump read that note that Kushner read about making Palestine resort and building condominiums there, and it was good real estate. Jared Kushner handed Trump the note maybe 10 minutes before his speech. He took it out and read it out loud. Oh, yeah, for sure. I already knew that. I try to tell people all the time that the reason why the stuff with the border peace and the stuff with Gaza, all it is Trump trying to make a deal with Israel to basically build Las Vegas and Gaza. They do not give two shits about the Palestinians. Okay. So read this again. I've actually had like full notes on this already. Okay. So pretty interesting story happened recently. And I won't use my video screen. I'll use this one instead. And it's this story here. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna be on a panel to talk about this a little bit later. I don't know how much we actually will talk about, but I'm gonna reread this. I read this one time, just doing a quick reread. So there's a story in regards to surrogacy and abortion and parental rights that is quite interesting. So, a baby boy at the center of an out of state surrogacy battle that is pitting the Texas Attorney General against the California biological parents was born in Dallas on Wednesday. Lawyers for the birth parents and the surrogate confirmed. The child, who has a congenital heart disease, was born via a surrogate, McKenna West of Alaska, who had traveled to Texas after she said that the child's biological parents had tried to force her to terminate the pregnancy, something the child's biological parents deny. So the issue is that a surrogate, which is a woman carrying the baby for someone else, basically, birthing the baby and then giving that baby to the parents. And from my understanding, they ingest like I think artificial womb and all that stuff, and sperm and all that stuff. So it's biologically still the other parent's baby. That's the point. She's just holding it in her womb so it can grow, or her belly so it can grow. So apparently the child had a medical issue, and it was apparently that the parents were like, maybe we should abort the baby because it will have a hard life. Let me just finish reading it. Our client's child was born earlier this morning, and he's now receiving medical care provided by a team of pediatric experts. They said in a statement to the Texas Tribune, speaking for his client, Nashin Gilkar and Omar Almid, the biological parents of the baby, McKenna West's baseless attempts to intervene in the child's medical care have been soundly rejected by the courts. Guys are baseless to intervene in the child's medical care. Client's child was born earlier this morning. He's now receiving medical care provided by a team of pediatric experts. Statement speaking for his clients, Nashin Gilkar and the biological parents. So this is the biological parents, Nashin and Omar. McKenna West's baseless attempt to intervene in the child's medical care have been soundly rejected by the courts. McKenna West is the surrogate mother. McKenna West surrogate. Gilkar and Ahmed are at the hospital with the baby, who they say is not named Gabriel, despite Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton West calling the baby by that name. So the other interesting part of this conversation is that Ken Paxton is involved. Now, of course, since we're talking about the life of a child, I definitely understand utilizing this as a beat to propagate your own status amongst Texas voters, because Ken Paxton overall is a piece of garbage. The couple's attorney said the baby is receiving medical care and accused West and Paxton of turning a family tragedy into a political theater. Ken Paxton, definitely. I don't think he gives two fucks about this baby. McKenna West, no idea. Our client's only focus at this time is ensuring that their baby receives the medical care that it vitally needs, and they, as his parents, are able to spend every precious moment they can with him. So that's another interesting part. Actually, let me get my notes. So we got a couple points to point out. We got parents, biological parents who want their baby back from surrogate. Baby has heart issue. Surrogate mother goes to Texas, and Ken Paxton is helping her. Is this political theater? I wonder if I can look up if this is a issue that Ken Paxton has been benefiting from in the polling. I'm unsure. Okay, the baby was carrying was diagnosed with hypoplastic left heart syndrome, where the left side of the heart is underdeveloped at 20 weeks of pregnancy. West asked a Dallas court to recognize her parental rights as the birth mother and interfere in medical treatment for the baby. So this is apparently a pretty bad disease, from my understanding, where a good chunk of kids don't even get to live a full life if it's bad enough. On Tuesday, Paxson announced he was intervening on behalf of West, alleging Gilcar and Ahmed refused to consent a life-saving surgery for the heart issue, but Budner did not address this in his statement and were trying to bring the child back to California before he was born. So, child is from Cali. Child was taken to Texas. Child is from Cali. Refused to consent to life-saving surgery for the heart issue. Budner did not address this in his statement. Who is Budner again? Lee Budner said in a statement, speaking for his client. So Budner is the attorney. So we got Lee Budner, attorney of parents. So life-saving surgery. Did parents deny child life-saving surgery? Question mark. Ordered that the child being given life treatment upon birth and the child must remain in Texas. Okay, so we got a Dallas judge making the declaration, says child should get life-saving surgery. So we don't know if the parent, as of right now, the parents, we don't know if they want to give him life-saving surgery. The judge ordered that the child receive life-saving surgery, and the child remain in Texas, So the crazy part about this, a surrogate mother takes the child to a different state, and a judge orders that child stay in Texas, even though the biological parents don't live there. Kind of crazy. In a separate order, the judge also granted the biological parent's request that prevents West from making any medical decision for the child and representing herself as the child's mother, reinforcing the couple's rights to the parents. So, judge also recognizes biological parents' rights for child. So that's an interesting one. The hearing is scheduled for tomorrow, August 25th. Lincoln Wilson, West's attorney, told the Texas Tribune on Wednesday that West does not have access to the baby. So Lincoln Wilson, attorney for McKenna West. Wilson said West began her surrogacy journey when she matched with Gilcar through Connecticut-based worldwide surrogacy specialists. Got along well with them, although there were a few minor bumps along the way with reimbursement payments, Wilson said. Interesting. The relationship deteriorated after the couple forced West to get an abortion following the baby's heart condition diagnosis. So, did parents ask West to get an abortion after heart diagnosis? She described it as a fear because basically she was going to be asked to do something to the child that she carried that was fundamentally offensive to her, and she couldn't imagine ending the life of the child that she carried inside her. The question I have is, if you're a surrogate mother, do you have the right to an abortion? I guess or what I mean by that is, do you have authority over whether an abortion happens? Because we got three very interesting actors here. So it's like abortion, parents' rights over child, West's rights over body, child's rights over their own life. So it's a weird conversation, because who has authority over what happens? is I wonder if there's a part in the contract where if you're a surrogate, you fork over your rights to your own body for the parents. Because at the end of the day, you chose to have these things implanted into you to carry someone else's child. I don't know if that's the case. I actually want to look that up. If actually, let me look it up here. If you are a surrogate mother, do you give up the right to decide whether you should have an abortion or not? Okay. So in this AI response, in many U.S. surrogacy contracts, the decision to terminate pregnancy or perform selective reduction typically made by the intended parents, not the surrogate, and this can mean the surrogate's personal choice over the contract of state law. But it's based on state law. Interesting. Okay. Let's move to this document. If you're considering becoming a surrogate mother, abortion may be one of the pressing topics that you have on your mind. In fact, it will be a procedure discussed at length before you finalize your match with the intended parents in a legal surrogacy contract. To get more information about how the terms of abortion may fit into your surrogacy contract, contact blah blah. An ideal situation never has to occur. Blah blah. Advisors carriers to be open to termination. If you're considering becoming an abortion, is something that you should think hard about. Blah. Preferences. So it has to be something you agreed upon on your contract. So we have to. It really just depends on the contract she made with these parents. Depends on state law and contract made. Okay. All right, let's go back to the article. Parent legal term denied that Gilchr forced her to have an abortion. In court documents filed July 20th in Alaska, the birth parent said West agreed with the decision to terminate. Oh. So, in court documents... All right, so we have a lot being said here. So the parents' legal team denied forcing, I think that's the key word, forcing her to have an abortion. Forcing an abortion. She agreed to termination as stated in court documents. So if they have legal confirmation that she agreed with the abortion or the possibility of an abortion, then that's huge. Okay. After heartbreaking consultation with medical providers and their own research about the suffering and quality of life, made the difficult decision to terminate the pregnancy. It is undisputed that West initially agreed, and she herself made the initial appointment. She then unilaterally changed her mind, cut off all contact, and withdrew medical releases. So she agreed, then she changed her mind. That's huge. That's a huge part of the conversation. And then HLHS, like I said, this is a disease that babies are suffering. They don't live too long. It's just very bad life to live. The filing said, according to doctors, the heart defect increased the risk of neurological development issue, generally requiring lifelong treatment, and has no cure. No cure. Lifelong treatment, doesn't live long, no cure. It's like I'm just going to be suffering my entire life, basically. to the child's health by deciding on her own whether to deliver, and she refused important medical testing to assess for other abnormalities. Doctors need those results to plan for procedure after he's born, the filing said. Another very interesting part, West risking child by leaving. According to Wilson, West said her brother guided her through the dispute and suggested she could adopt the baby if she did not want to go through an abortion. With this knowledge, West decided to carry. She got legal advice from her brother. West got legal advice from her brother. Is crazy. Gilcar and Ahmed's attorneys say that the couple had already decided to see the pregnancy through to delivery. So parents decided to see it through delivery. The biological parents consulted with specialists in Los Angeles, Dallas, and determined that their chosen course of action was to have West deliver in California, and the baby, who they call Rumi, would then begin lifelong treatment. So they're going to go with lifelong treatment. West is harming Rooney by relocating to Texas. Do they really? If she didn't leave, would they probably still have the abortion? I'm guessing probably. I'm guessing they probably would still have the abortion, to be honest. But I don't know. Ugh. Because it's hard to sell. All right, it's hard to sell. She's trying to save the life of the baby, and they're trying to abort the baby. It's like, I don't know. It's you're putting yourself in a weird situation, no doubt about it. West is harming Rumi to be born. Blah, blah, blah. Her actions are forcing Rumi to begin treatment, including critical heart surgery in one state and be transferred to another. Let me put this in my notes. Critical heart surgery and transfer. The rightful parents, scaring as a scare, appellate court rejected West's request to stop the trial court judgment from taking effect. West seek legal protection in Texas because the state's family laws recognizes anyone who gives birth in Texas the legal mother. So her go-to, Texas law recognizes anyone who gives birth in Texas as the legal mother of that child. California ruling and the Dallas judge ruling Tuesday. Wilson still argues the wife is lawfully the parent because she gave birth to this child and she carries in Texas, then she should control custody as well. So even though a Dallas judge in Texas says, nah, you don't have rights over the kids, then okay. Might as well look up the Texas law. I think this is a pretty cutthroat case of she's tweaking. She is tweaking. Let me look this up. Not that. All right. What does Texas law say about surrogacy and legal motherhood? All right, let's look at what this says. If you're considering surrogacy in the Lone Star State, it's crucial to understand the legal landscape. The surrogacy guide navigates you, explore blah, blah, blah. Legal parentage. In Texas, the parties have a validated gestational carrier agreement. Married intended parents may obtain a pre-birth order. For intended parents who are not married or those who are single, judges have the discretion to grant pre-birth orders. The Texas statute also contemplates the option of a post-birth order. Oh, so if the judge says, no, you're not the parent, then you're not the parent. Cut and close. Like, this shit is cooked, bro. She's good. Now, of course, they're going to start trying to pull out some bullshit. I think the bullshit that they're probably going to pull out is argumentation of they didn't want the child. They wanted the child dead. I want the child alive type of arguments. But yeah, that shit GG's. That shit GG's, my boy. That shit GG's. All right, there's a couple other things I want to look into as well. All right. Oh. All right. Is there? Okay. So another thing that I need to debate prep for is a debate I'm having. The Democratic Party has failed Black America. That's what I need to talk about. All right. Democratic Party. All right. Well, all right. This time I'm going to do my notes for this. So first things first, I'm debating Marquette Burton in about a month, and this prompt I'm going to establish two things. First thing I'm going to establish is Black America and how both parties have tried to help or has hurt Black America. Now, of course, this argumentation is going to be underlying the parties that align with the liberal principles. It's more about principle and ideology versus party affiliation. Because if anybody tries to make the argument, Democrats, they were part of the South back in the day. Republicans, they freed the slaves. That's all bullshit because Republicans clearly are just the Democrats of today. We all know this to be true. Anybody else saying otherwise is making lazy arguments. So I'm trying to find a period to go back to. Very clearly, we'll make the 2000s a very clear distinctive line. Right? I think since the we'll start with the 2000. All right, what's some important periods where it's like unnegotiable? So there's a couple of things to do. Israel versus Israel based. Obviously slavery. Are you a Zionist? Your title says yes. Am I a Zionist? No, I don't really care for all that. But I'm guessing you're a Hassan fan. So your bitchin' says yes. Slavery, Jim Crow. No, I'm not. All right, then I apologize. See, I'm grown. All right. Actually, I mean, I'm not even talking about Hassan anymore. I already did the Hassan stuff a little bit earlier, so I should probably change the title. Debate prep for versus Marquette Burton. Did the Democratic Party fail Black America? All right. Let's change the title. All right, let me change the title over here as well. But I don't accept the gatekeeping for pro-Zionist control, and that is what the whole denounced Piker's comment is about. I mean, the whole denounced Piker comment is Hassan Piker talking about how American Jews are inviting violence against them, and El Sayed is making a very clear calculation that no, I don't co-sign that bullshit. That's it. That's it. That is it. It's amazing that the DNC and the capitalists can still push this and get some traction from some people. Al Sayed is not part of the DNC. You guys are just coping. I'm gonna be honest. At some point, we gotta recognize that people don't want to just hate Jews. That's it. It's as simple as that. People just have no inclination to hate or hurt Jews. They can hate Netanyahu. They can hate the far right Israel government because they deserve hate. People don't want to hate Jewish people in general. That hate shit is cringe. That's why MAGA is cringe. So this whole, coping by defending people like Hassan Piker saying nasty shit about Jewish people is crazy. I think we should stop that. I don't think that's good. All right, let me change the title. It's not cringe, it's logical. Jews who support Israel's actions deserve hate. Base facts. True. 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 How dare they support that country? True. Based. Are US Oh yeah, you're definitely a leftist. I already know the argumentation. US imperialist? Honestly, capitalism, you're probably a socialist, huh? Leftist. Down with America, right? Down with America, down with Israel, down with Western nations. Russia and China should take over the world, all that good stuff. Right? Israel should go. America should go. Honestly, England should go. Colonizers, they should go. Canada should go. They're imperialists. They conquered a bunch of places as well. Saudi Arabia should go. Honestly, there should be no nations, no countries. All of them are imperialists. And anarchy. Everybody dies. GG's. I fixed the world. Oh my goodness. Anyhow, let me do my. All right, I think I changed the title. That's what I was doing the entire time. Let's focus on the places that live in the worst countries that are in existence. Let's focus on the places we live. That's a good answer. It's like I can't. Yes, I want anarchy and all civilizations to be destroyed, but I can't seem like I want that. So I'm just critiquing America, and by calling it an evil nation that's imperialist. Like I'm like comparing it to the evil Star Wars Empire in Nazi Germany, but like I'm just critiquing the place I live. True. Facts. Very astute. After we get rid of like imperialist America, what next? What nation should we get rid of next? I'm genuinely curious. After we get rid of imperialist America, should we get rid of imperialist Canada? Should we get rid of imperialist England? Imperialist China? Imperialist Russia? Yeah, all right. You can't answer the question. I don't think U.S. is imperialist. Obviously, that's why you can't answer my questions. But I do want to ensure that America is not trying to do bad shit, obviously, because I actually care about solutions and, All right. Okay, finally finished. We changed the question. Your question is juvenile. MAGA tactics. I can't answer questions, so I'm just going to pivot. Sounds like Tim Pool. All right. So now we're starting the research. Do you want U.S. presidents arrested for their crimes? Facts. We're going to arrest all the presidents. Let's see. Which presidents are arresting? Arresting Trump, obviously. I think we both agree we should arrest Trump. Arrest Joe Biden, for sure. Definitely arrest Joe Biden. Then arrest Obama, for sure. Then arrest the Clintons, 100%. Honestly, arrest every single president that's ever lived. Arrest every president, right? Arrest every president? Do you think you're a black freedomer? is Obama. Answer me the question. Do you want to arrest every president? Arrest every president. No, Obama's not a war criminal. See, I can answer questions. Do I want to be a black freedomer? I don't know what the fuck that means. I don't think Obama's a war criminal, no. Okay. But let me know if you want to arrest every single president for their crimes. Okay, so every single president that's ever existed gets arrested. All right, we arrest every president, then we arrest every vice president, then we arrest every congressman, then we arrest all the Supreme Court justices because they're complicit. So we arrest every single governmental official that's ever existed in America. We arrest every single one. Okay, so we have no governmental officials. Okay. Now we have to arrest other countries' imperialist war criminals. So we arrest all of Russia's, all of China's, all of Canada's, all of Mexico's, all of England's. It's just unserious. Unserious. Nothing I said was ignorant. Everything I said was in line with what you want to do. Everything I said was in line with what you want to do. Bombings. I'm talking to chatting. See, you're the one who can't answer my questions. It's like the same type of argumentation. Same time. When you're in war, bombings happen. Is it bad? Yeah, it's bad. That's what war is. War is not good for anybody involved. It's bad. That's why we want to stop wars. I'm pro stopping wars. I'm pro stopping terrorism. But then when I ask you if you want to have general broad claims to apply the worst type of punishments based off your general perception of what a war crime is, then that logic applies to every leader that's ever existed. So if we go down the line of argumentation, people like you want to get rid of every single political leader that's ever existed, and people like you want to get rid of every nation that's ever existed. And that's just true. There is standards, and if you go over the standards that has been agreed upon by every single nation in the world, then yeah, you can enact a certain level of pressure, sanctions, and maybe it goes to war. And depending on if they're in the ICC, maybe they get punished by the ICC, arrested, injunctions. But when we play with our feelings, talking about these generalized notions of being a war criminal, then that logic just applies to everybody. See, and that's another MAGA tactic. You get called out, you get emotional, you act like MAGA, you throw out the R word. It's like, hey man, I'm edgy. I'm just going to call you something that everybody calls everybody on the internet. Oh my God, I'm so edgy. I know so much, even though I'm basically advocating for anarchy. I mean, you're not doing anything special. You're not doing anything. You're not saying anything interesting. So, and you're not answering any of my questions. It's too easy, bro. It's too easy. It's too easy. What is anarchy? And there we go. I finally got exactly what the thesis behind what you're advocating for. No nation, no state, no government. What is anarchy? Why would you ask that question? You want an answer from me so you can try to debunk that answer. Now I'm going to give you an answer because I can answer questions. I can answer. Anarchy is a world without government, a world without structures, rules, a world where everything is run by individuals without any type of system put in place. That is anarchy, chaotic. It requires the basic innate instincts of every single human. Survival of the fittest. The strongest will live. And he did exactly what I said he did. Now I can debunk that. Now I can say it's wrong and try to put a spin on anarchy to make it seem like it's not as bad as how he's characterizing it. Same playbook. But I love the conversation, bro. I think it's quite ignorant of how the world works. Period of slavery. But go ahead if you feel like it. Just Call me an N-word. Call me a R-tard. Call me all the names you want. I'm ready. Dumb as fuck. I've heard that one. Too. Dumb as fuck. N-word. R-tard. Might as well. It's freedom of speech. Shout out Kick. Anarchy is a system of organized government. Based. Sure. I mean, as long as we got to the through line of what you actually believe, which I knew that's what you believe, but I just wanted to get it out of you. And I got it out of you. So I did my job. Like Native Americans. I mean, Native Americans, even Native Americans, you could argue that they ran through a certain level, like a certain type of system, right? It's more of like a hierarchy. Maybe it's a hierarchy based off lineage or a hierarchy based off capability, but there was like a certain structure. I mean, ultimately, if humans reset to zero and became this kind of innate instinctual creatures with no structure, system, or government, then they eventually will rebuild it because we're social creatures that require a hierarchy. You know, that's just how we exist. But of course, people live in this pseudo dream that we can live in this utopia where we're all equal and we all can work together, even though that just is stupid. That's just a stupid thing to think. Okay. Enough handling the leftists. Okay, so in my debate with Marquette Burton, I'm expecting a little bit more. Honestly, I'm not expecting much. I'm expecting Marquette Burton to be on the level of the guy from the Kick Chat in terms of his like ability to debate and the ability to elicit points. Regardless, if I'm in a conversation, I want to be as informed as possible and I want to get out very astute points that is not necessarily able to convince people, but change, at the very least highlight a perspective that they are not considering when engaging in such serious conversation. So one of the prompts that, of course, I'm definitely going to have with Marquette is talking about the Democratic Party and Black America and the Republican Party and Black America as well. And that's going to be very important. The question is for me, though, is how to go about it. So the first thing I'm going to start is establishing a sense of agreement so we can figure out the core points to litigate through the debate. So things that we can clearly agree on is that the Republican principles, the current Republican Party, the past Democratic Party, these people were very clearly antagonistic to Black people. So we can very clearly put out the slavery period. So let me get a timeline so I can kind of rule out the periods immediately. When was the slavery period? So the 17th and 18th centuries. So I can very easily okay, we agree all the way up to the 18th century, end of slavery, Republicans / past Democrats were bad for Black people. Now, if he goes like, oh yeah, Democrats were bad for Black people, then I'm beyond. We understand. Then we're gonna have to go to the party switched. You understand that the Democrats that represent the Democrats and who they represented is the exact same people who the Republicans represent now. South, rural, white. You get that, right? And they do not embrace liberalism. You understand that. So we'll have that sense of agreement. If I have to bring up historical record and principle difference, then I will. I'll just put this in my notes. Actually, I'll just write it here so I can look at the camera while I write my notes. So establish historical record or principle difference for party switch. And then, okay, so after I get that concession or, agree to disagree, moot points, just if he doesn't agree to that, he's just going to look fucking stupid. Then we move on to the next point that I want to articulate, which is the civil rights period. Civil rights period. Civil rights. So Jim Crow, civil rights ended like, I don't know, maybe you want to say late 1900s. Maybe you want to say that mid to late 1900s. Because I really don't want to get bogged down on like very obvious points. So that's why I'm just trying to find like concrete periods. Abolition of Jim Crow. So Jim Crow, civil rights. All right, so let's Jim Crow period. Jim Crow and civil rights. So Jim Crow to civil rights, and then we can start talking about policy. So should I discuss policy based off individual policy, or should I discuss things in a kind of dual purpose comparison model? Let me think. Let me see the prompt again. The prompt says the Democratic Party has failed Black America. I feel like a lot of this conversation is going to resonate around the 2000s period. Honestly, I feel like a lot of this conversation is going to resonate around the Obama period on. I don't know. I just got to be prepared if he plans to do any other kind of bullshit. And also, I can kind of elicit a very clear, overarching historical point when we kind of elicit how both parties affected Black people moving forward. Okay. Founded the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. Clashes prompted President Kennedy to introduce legislation that eventually became the Civil Rights Act of 1964. Voting Rights Act, Civil Rights Act of 1964. So obviously these are things that Democrats are in favor. Ended discrimination. All right. Okay. Okay. So where do I want to make my? All right, let's establish the presidents. Presidents since 2000. So we got George W. Bush, Obama, Trump, Biden. Okay, so it really starts with George W. Bush. So I think 2000s is a good place to start. So voting rights out. Then we got period 2000s. Should I talk about the 90s and the 80s? 70, 64, the 70, 80s, and 90s. Let me see the presidents of those periods as well. I might as well show the research while I'm talking about it. So we got FDR, definitely pro-black, in the sense that for his period, FDR, Truman, Eisenhower, and then obviously Kennedy got assassinated. Lyndon B. Johnson. We got Nixon and Ford, Carter, Reagan, H.W. Bill. It's crazy. Bill was 90s. Yo, time flies. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. So Kennedy, I think Kennedy is a good starting point. So it's the 35th president on. We could talk about 35th. I don't know. I just like sometimes you get prepared for all this and we don't even talk about any of this stuff. President, I doubt Marquette is going to talk about like specific policies and what presidents have done and all that stuff. I think he's going to probably talk about very generalized cultural stuff, but even if we don't talk about all this stuff, I like learning this stuff personally. I just want to know these things because I've been so focused on Trump corruption and how bad the MAGA administration is, I haven't been able to look back in the historical record as much. Talking about black policy. Master debaters for sure. Okay, so what I have established so far, and there's 3 prompts, so I have to prepare for all 3. Today, I'm just going to be focusing on the Black Democratic Party and the Black America. So I'm going to establish in the debate slavery. Obviously, older Democrats, former like Democrats that are Republicans today, bad. Jim Crow, Democrats that are Republicans today, bad. At some point, the party flipped. I don't know exactly what that period. I might as well look that up eventually as well. I'll look that up a little bit later. I don't think that's nearly as important of a point. Jim Crow, civil rights. So Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act of 1964 is a good starting point to talk about. Okay, what have they done? Clearly, Republicans were worse. What have they done in the current times? And we're going to talk about 35th president and talking about black policy moving forward. So should I look up black policy for each president? I mean, what are we talking about? Or should I look up highlights for each president? Honestly, I should just look up all black policy, right? I feel like most of the conversation will be focused on like the recent history. So we'll start in reverse. We'll start off with I'll start off with the older style. We'll look up the major policy regarding that helped or hurt Black America for each president, and then since 2000s, we'll focus on what Obama, Bush, Trump, and Biden have done, and we'll go in more depth with those 4. Yeah, that's how I'm going to do it. Okay. All right, let's start off with JFK. Well, JFK is attached to the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So he immediately gets huge bonus points for the Civil Rights Act of 1964. So that's huge for JFK. So I don't really need to say anything else besides that. Okay. Then we go to Lyndon B. Johnson. I feel like Lyndon B. Johnson, from my understanding, worked with MLK. I'm sure that Raphael Warnock even talked about it. MLK and what he and oh there we go, and MLK. All right, let's read it. Two granite monuments stand on either side of the Pentagon. These are memorials to Lyndon B. Johnson, MLK. Little Jr. Little seems to connect them. One is filled with remarkable calls to justice. The other is a landscape of pine trees. But for 2 years, they strategized together. Behind closed doors and during secretly recorded phone calls, they came together in the days after Kennedy's assassination. From 63 to 65, their coordination helped push forward. I mean, this has everything I need for Lyndon B. Johnson and his relationship with MLK. So I think this is a good starting point. Okay. So Lyndon B. Johnson. Just get a good framework, and then we can go in depth in like specific notes a little bit afterwards. So then we got Nixon. Is it Nixon or is it Reagan that was Mr. War on Drugs? Hold on. Nixon. Nixon was War on Drugs. So we had Lyndon B. Johnson that did all this stuff for black people. Then we had Richard Nixon. Who admits war on drugs was designed to criminalize black people. Okay. That's all I need. War on drugs for Nixon? Come on. Nixon. So if we're talking about who's hurt or helped the black community more, I mean, it's very clearly not the Republican Party, but you know. Gerald Ford. He was president for 3 years. So Gerald Ford impact on black people. I guess we could look. All right, what do we got for Gerald Ford? It's often overshadowed by the tumultuous events surrounding Watergate and the subsequent transition of power. However, his administration played a significant role in shaping civil rights during a pivotal time in American history. The 70s were marked by a growing awareness of social justice issues. The forced speech approach to civil rights reflects on both the challenges and opportunities of the area. Okay. Context for decades. The nation grappled with the aftermath of water, cultural climate. It also saw the rise of various advocates for the rights of a marginalized community. Raising a middle class family, developed a strong sense of integrity and commitment to fairness. His times as a particularly civil rights legislation, although he was not as vocal as some of his contemporaries advocating for civil rights, he expressed a belief in equality. Okay, so Ford might be one decent example for like black rights. But I'm gonna look up another source just in case, because of course, I mean it's Republicans after all. You never know. I'm trolling. But okay, good start. It definitely means that when I make my claim, I can't make a absolutist claim that absolutely Democrats are always bad versus absolutely, or Republicans are always bad. I can't say that. That's what this clearly indicates. All right, Jimmy Carter, black people. Not as familiar with Jimmy Carter. Former peanut farmer, according to his son. Carter especially had a complicated relationship with black. It might surprise you to learn that the man who eventually won the overwhelming support of black voters for President Trump was always seen as a friend to the black community. Complicated would begin to understand as a candidate for Georgia governor, cozy up with the violent segregation, earning himself a rather unflattering description from the premier state newspaper. Interesting. So I'll grab two sources for this as well. And we'll kind of go into that too. Jimmy Carter. All right, next we got is Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan, George H.W. Bush, two Republicans. Ronald Reagan, black people. Uh, All right, we're going two sources for Reagan. All right. George H.W. Bush. Man, Republicans are winning, huh? George H.W. Bush. I guess we could look up his Wikipedia page. Black people. It's good to be prepared. All right. Then we got Bill Clinton, Mr. I like to fuck around. And then we're about to be in the modern area. So once we get to George W. Bush, we'll get much more detailed stuff about those guys. Ronald Clinton. I'll probably look for 1 point for each of these guys. Bill Clinton. And then it probably, when I'm doing my debate against Marquette, more than likely it's going to be a situation where it's like, okay, give out your take, and I can just rattle off. I mean, we understand slavery period bad for, Republican principles, conservative principles, former Democrats. Bad for them, bad for Jim Crow up until civil rights, where it's more of a conversation on like what these presidents, what these parties are advocating for. Ultimately, I mean, we know which group of people is still supporting who, but if we're talking about like policies in particular and how they're helping the black community, I can rattle off Civil Rights Act. I can rattle off war on drugs. I can rattle off all of that, and then get to the modern era. And then if we're talking about like recent memory, things that are affecting like me, my family, you, your family, we could probably talk about the individuals from the 2000s. I know they're probably going to talk about welfare. So I'm going to put that welfare is definitely going to be spoken about. Welfare, DEI, affirmative action going to be spoken about. Crime is going to be spoken about. I think those are the things that they're going to kind of use to talk about how these are bad for black people or whatever. Bill Clinton, black people. Bill Clinton was called the first black president. That's funny. Bill Clinton. All right. George Bush. George W. Bush. Okay. I can be very broad with historical figures and then more in depth with recent figures. I think the best way to look into this is just to look into their Wikipedia page, to be honest. No matter what people say about Wikipedia, it's just a good database. And then you can utilize more explicit sources, but it's just a good general database. Okay. George Bush, Obama, Trump, or I'm going to go Joe Biden, then Trump. Biden, Trump. Okay. Let's say black people. All right. How was George Bush's impact on black people? I actually don't hear George Bush brought up a lot in conversation in regards to his impact on black people, but maybe I'll learn something there. On June 1st, 2020, Bush released a statement addressing the murder of George Floyd. Well, this is way after, I'm going to be honest. Post-presidency stuff? I don't give a fuck about post-presidency stuff. Black people see the repeated violation of their rights without an urgent, adequate response from American institutions. Oh, base. Very base. Does he have nothing else in regards to like black people? Is that all he got? African? All right, there's nothing in here about black people. So, George W. Bush, black people. This is the first link that popped up. All I typed in is George W. Bush, black people. That's all I typed in. And I guess this is the first one. This and this was the first two links. So this is... Oh, I forgot when Kanye said George W. Bush hates black people. I forgot about that. All right. Start off with this. On September 2nd, 2005, at an NBC primetime benefit concert to raise money for the victims of Hurricane Katrina, Kanye said George Bush doesn't care about black people. As soon as he starts talking about not liking how the media is portraying black people in New Orleans, it was like a release valve, said Rodney Carmichael, I think when he finally said that line, I was cheering and screaming and jumping for joy because finally somebody said something that was not politically correct to say. While it might have been a release valve for some, it was a political crisis for others. I didn't appreciate it then. I don't appreciate it now. Bush said, "It's one thing to say I don't appreciate the way he's handled his business. Another thing to say that this man's a racist. I resent it. It's not true." 20 years after Hurricane Katrina, Kanye anti-Semitic. What was Kanye speaking to? I think one of the things that supercharged Hurricane Katrina is a bona fide disaster with the media response. There were survivors who were stranded waiting on government assistance who were framed as looters and murderers. In an interview, the now retired Lieutenant General Russell Honore, who coordinated the National Guard response to Katrina, said it was way overreported. People confused looting with people going into survival mode. That was something that Kanye remarked upon at the very beginning of his wind-up to his sort of viral moment. I didn't need a degree to understand what was being portrayed to the media was not likely to be lining up what was happening in real life for many people. That tends to happen a lot. For example, like the BLM stuff, another perfect example. 2005, this is still before the death of Mike Brown or Trayvon Martin or his general area, where we see these deaths of black folks being portrayed in the media and by the police in a way that seems to attempt to justify their killings. And that's very much the same thing that's happened in the days after Katrina. So they were just talking about Katrina and how the portrayal of like how black people were reacting to it. Is that it? Yeah, this article didn't give me much. Let's go to this one. George W. Bush, the NAACP, and the persistent damage to black higher education. On Thursday, July 20th, President Bush addressed wait, did the Supreme Court? Oh, wow. All right, I'll talk about that after. On Thursday, July 20th, President Bush addressed the annual convention of the National Association for Advancement of Colored People in Washington. Although he was invited to address the annual meeting every year since winning the presidency, this was the first time the president agreed to appear. Bush has enjoyed improving relations with the NAACP since business executives by sending driven by political considerations, believed it could win more white votes in stonewalling black aspirations than it would gain by appealing to black votes. Based on the possible loss of one or both houses of Congress, the president is fighting for every vote he can get, and now that includes those of African Americans. Include the classic mantras. I consider it tragedy that part of Lincoln let go of his historical ties with African Americans. What the fuck? What happened? What I want to do is work with to fix the foundations of our society. For too long, my party has written off the African American vote. In some ways, the speech worked. Wade, blah, blah, just was one of the most effective speeches of his tenure and a new political high for Bush. There was, in fact, some applause for a few of the president's remarks about education by citing his support for historically black college and universities, the appointment of several African Americans to high-ranking positions in his administration, and support for the renewal of the Voting Rights Act. Many NCAA appear to have been pacified by the president's rhetoric. This should not have been the case. The administration's record on support for measures that improve the educational opportunities for African Americans has been and continues to be dismal. In fact, the president's policies have inflicted serious harm. Let's review the record. The maximum Pell Grant award for low-income college students remained the same for the past 5 years. For 2007, Bush once again proposed no increase in the Pell Grant. Even today, no longer comes to provide even half the cost of higher education in a state-operated college or university. The freeze has been particularly hard on blacks, so okay. I can understand how that would hurt. 2004, the Bush administration announced a restrictive new change in the formula of government uses to determine who is eligible for Pell Grants. Under the new rules, families are not able to deduct state and local taxes from their income, and therefore they're expected to make a larger family contribution to their child's education. As a result, it estimated the American Council on Education that 89,000 students who received the Pell Grant would no longer be eligible. Another 1.3 million low-income students will receive smaller Pell Grant awards. Okay, so it's just making it hard on like low-income people. MLK Day in 2003, Bush chose to announce his administration's support for the plaintiffs who challenged the University of Michigan's Affirmative Action Administration program, in addition to filing briefs in opposition to the continuation of race-sensitive admissions. Bush Solicitor General Ted Olson, one of the nation's most influential right-wing ideologues, argued the case for banning affirmative action before the United States Supreme Court. So Bush had people in his cabinet that wanted to get rid of affirmative action. Both of President Bush's nominees to the Supreme Court appear to be strong opponents of affirmative action. Okay, there's a lot of very interesting information here that highlights Bush's track record. Okay. Very interesting. Very interesting indeed. Okay. Now, Obama is going to be an interesting one because obviously people heavily scrutinize Obama. Black people. I also will probably look up like the most influential black policies at some point as well. Black policies. Most maybe. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how I want to organize my notes. We'll take a quick break from that and react to the recent news. The Supreme Court decided to be crazy unhinged and was like, you know what, mail-in balloting, let's make your lives a little bit harder. So, let's talk about that real quick. So the Supreme Court decided to do another ruling that makes Trump's life easier and our lives harder. Apparently, they sided with the Trump administration regarding mail voting and how Trump is using executive orders to influence mail voting because of his influence over the USPS. So we're going to read the article, read the ruling, read the decision, and see what's going to happen, because for a administration and a movement that complains about elections being stolen, they're trying their hardest to affect the midterm elections because they suck at their job. Hey man, make it harder for everybody. Okay, let's read it. Okay, Supreme Court sides with Trump administration on mail voting restrictions ahead of midterms. The Supreme Court sided with the Trump administration Monday in a case over Trump's executive order restricting mail-in voting, though it remains unclear how much can be implemented before the fast-approaching midterms. The decision leaves room for additional court challenges that could further slow Trump's order. So, yeah, I'm sure some local and district courts are definitely going to say, what the fuck? And definitely some courts for, like, Democratic states, for example. And other similar cases have already been filed. The U.S. Postal Service laid out how it would implement the order last week, but time is running short to impose major changes, with some states beginning to send mail ballots to voters in just a few weeks. The Supreme Court's conservative majority didn't decide the legality of Trump's order, instead ruling the states who sued did not have the legal right to challenge it. So the states couldn't challenge Trump's executive order is the big question here. And they're just like, you can't challenge the unitary executive fascist dictator. That's not allowed. The court's disposition of this application does not mean that any measure taken by the government to implement the order will necessarily be lawful. On that score, time will tell, the majority wrote in an unsigned order. So just like how tariffs fucked over the country and they took their sweet ass time to finally make a decision, which gave Trump plenty of time to find an alternative to replace their initial executive order to put tariffs again on all states across the world. They're deciding to take their sweet time, let the midterms happen, and see how much can you do before. So, like, give us some time to figure it out. I'll give you some time, and then once you like fuck over the country, then we'll make a decision. Oh yeah, you can't do that. I mean, it already happened, but you can't do that. The Supreme Court loves doing shit like that, in particular the conservative justices, the Democratic justices who actually have principle and care about America. They typically like, bro, what the fuck are we doing? Is this another case for packing the court, people? Let me know. The three liberal-leaning justices publicly dissented, with Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson writing the rule lets another shoe drop in the Kafkaesque nightmare that our precedents have been steadily creating for certain plaintiffs who seek to bring election-related challenges. New York Attorney General Tisha James foreshadowed more legal wrangling, calling the decision a painful setback, vowing it would not be the final word. The court's order opens a path for the administration to begin action to restrict mail voting, but it also could lead to a bevy of potential further litigation that could freeze the federal government again. All starting 10 days before the first ballots in the nation are scheduled to be sent to overseas and military voters from North Carolina. This is just the first inning of a very fast 9-inning game, said Derek Mueller, a law professor at the Notre Dame University. Very crazy, but I'm happy that Democrats are still fighting back. I know a lot of people who are on the far left or maybe independent go like, what are the Democrats doing about that? Well, they're figuring out ways to fight back. They don't have the majority. This is why the midterms are so important, and they're figuring out ways to fight back despite the fascism happening day by day. Trump fights mail-in voting despite its growing popularity. Mail balloting has long been a favorite target for Trump, who has claimed that it breeds fraud despite strong evidence on the contrary and his own use of the voting method, because they don't actually care about fraud. They don't actually care about election integrity. They only care about doing whatever it means to get more power, more influence, and more votes in their favor. And you know what helps with that? Less people voting and only like very strong Republican conservatives voting in very, very red areas. That's the only, they don't care about any of this stuff. No matter what the evidence, no matter it happening like less than 1% of the time, they don't give a fuck. Trump's executive order signed in March calls on an administration to create lists of eligible voters and orders the U.S. Postal Service to deliver mail ballots only to people on those lists. New requirements released Friday would forbid the Postal Service from sending mail ballots from any state that does not comply with Trump's order. Crazy. He can fearmonger states not receiving these ballots. Democratic officials in 23 states and the District of Columbia sued to block the order. They argued the Constitution gives states and Congress the power to run elections. Trump charges could lead to chaos and partisan abuse. Facts. Constitution literally says that the states are the ones responsible for elections, not the President of the United States. But who cares about the Constitution, right? The consequences of allowing such transformative changes to take effect so close to the fall's election would be extreme. Attorneys for the states wrote. Dozens of state and local election officials weigh in, asking the justice to leave the order frozen while election preparations are already underway. A judge in Massachusetts blocked the plan for the midterm election in those states. An appeals court upheld her decision. She later granted a second order blocking it nationwide. Another remaining stumbling block for Trump administration. The Justice Department appealed to the Supreme Court on procedural grounds in late July, arguing the states sued too soon. And that lawsuit from the states to the Supreme Court is what got struck down. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. This is why so many people are advocating for court packing on the left, because they're tired of the Supreme Court just capitulating to Trump. This is not a bipartisan court. They do whatever is political necessary to enforce their right-wing propaganda bullshit. And even though eventually they may rule like in favor of America, not even against Trump, in favor of America, the damage already has been done, which is the big question. And then to kind of look over the new rule, the new requirements for the mail ballots less than 2 weeks before some states began sending them and in time for the conservative blah, blah, are still subject to additional legal changes. This would forbid the postal from sending mail ballots from any state that does not comply with Trump's order, require an overhaul of the envelopes containing the ballots. So I guess the big thing here is, will certain states be unable to get mail ballots? Like, that's a lot of votes that potentially won't be put through, which is crazy. a crazy way to, dare I say, steal an election, preventing from people from voting mail ballot, absentee ballot. It's crazy. But yeah, that's all we got here. Somehow people are still arguing that Trump is not corrupt or Democrats are more corrupt is kind of crazy. But after another example of the Supreme Court capitulating, do you support court packing? Genuine question. All right, just wanted to go over that real quick. It's very crazy. Very crazy indeed. All right, go back to uh, all right, Obama, the big BO. What has Barack Obama done for black people? That's the question. Okay. Economic. Just type in black. The birth of Black Lives Matter movement, which campaigns against violence against systematic racism toward black people. Did not make more of a race relation than his predecessors. Blah, blah, blah. African Americans spread out over what they saw as racial venom directed at Obama's presidency. I was arrested after Obama stated the police acted stupidly handling the incident. I need more specific policy, so we'll just go right here. The Affordable Care Act extended coverage to millions, while the that created jobs to support a struggle also during the recession. Official summary from the Obama White House and contemporary show black unemployment declined over his term, and that recovery policy, including tax credit, provide targeted relief to low-income minority families. So Obama period, ACA, black employment declined, recovery policies that helped low income, including black communities. All right. Federal education reforms such as Race to the Top, Race to the Top, increased support for grants and completion programs aimed at HBCUs and minority serving institutions. My Brother's Keeper. The Obama Foundation White House reporting link those initiatives to rising graduation rates and increased college enrollment for African Americans through implementation. So overall, let me just put this link here as well. Criminal justice. The administration pursued sentencing reform and narrower crack versus powder sentencing through Fair Sentencing Act. So what else did Obama do? Sentencing reform, narrower crack versus powder, Fair Sentencing Act. Policing reform via the president's task force on 21st century policing. Well, the just open investigation into local police department action that registered as meaningful but limited reforms rather than systemic overall. Inspired further action for later Congress and administration, but fell short of sweeping structural change. Activities called for a gap, critics highlighted repeatedly. But carried symbolic weight that many Black Americans repeatedly cited the psychological aspirational benefits of seeing a Black president. Obama became a symbol for Black people. I mean, that's just true. He 100% became a symbol for Black people. Oh, we could win presidency too. Several important were limited by congressional opposition, state level resistance, notably to Medicaid expansion, and choosing about framing policy in terms of universal rather than race targeted remedies. Obama kept many promises, but the funding for things like HBCU, urban programs ebbed and flowed, remained stubbornly higher than white unemployment despite overall improvement. Gridlock and preference for broad-based economic policies constrained the scope of race-specific federal interventions. Obama focused on more broad economic benefits versus race-specific ones. The reason why this point will matter is because if people make it, oh, you did all these things for Black people, it's like, oh, he did it for Black people, but he did it for like all low-income people, which like that is how I run things. I want to benefit everybody who's low-income, but I met demands for argue almost an informed observer who too often avoided explicitly confronting structural racism, policing, and inequality. So people think he didn't do enough. That's the thing about Obama. People think he should have done more substantive change for Black issues. People wanted more substantive change for Black issues. So they didn't reach the expectations he wanted, but he did quite a bit. And then we got another article here. Stuck in here for years. Okay. Put this in my notes as well. All right. Joe Biden, Black people. What has Joe Biden done for Black people? Joe Biden hated Black people. That's crazy. All right. Made history of becoming the verse. Lift every voice. Interesting. State of Black America 2024 evaluates the Biden-Harris commitment to racial equity. We're building an America where we recognize the inherent dignity of every single person, where every American has a chance to live a life of purpose and meaning. This is my vision for the future. Before he was elected president, Joe Biden made history by becoming the first major general election candidate to develop an agenda for Black America, lift every voice. Thursday, he made history again by signing Executive Order 13985, advancing racial equity and support for underdeserved communities, which declared equal opportunities the bedrock of American democracy, and our diversity is one of our country's greatest strengths. This one we under the looks of a man who originated the state of Black America. Based. All right, let me put all this stuff in my notes. And then let's get into the Trump shit. Okay. All right. Donald Trump, black people. One thing that some people bring up regarding Trump and the black people, First Step Act, worked on by Jeffries and Republican. Trump only did it for PR purposes. Yeah, we're adding context. Ten actions from Trump in 2025 that critically impacted Black Americans. Anti-DEI agenda. On his first day, Trump signed an executive order calling for the end of DEI programs, deploying the military and federal police to Black-led cities, Black economy left suffering, dismantling the education department, whitewashing Black history, elimination of TPS for Haitians and African migrants, undermine the Voting Rights Act of 1965, attacks on Black leadership. Honestly, there's so much shit that he's done that's negatively impacted Black people. It's not even funny. It's actually terrible. Terrible. Oh my goodness. All right. I think I got a good amount of sources in reference to like everything that these presidents have done. And then the general points that are probably going to be brought up is culturally. But if we're talking about culture and the Democratic Party and the Republican Party are filled with people who are racist against Black people. So that's just a non sequitur. And then if we're talking about welfare was initially created for white people and older people. Then obviously it was used by Black people. But it was not made for Black people by any sense of the word. It's constantly, honestly, gets misconstrued consistently. Affirmative action, DEI. So I'm probably gonna have to look into, after I kind of break down all the policies that clearly benefit Democrats. He's gonna go into kind of talking points that consistently gets brought up, and I could do like two things. I could debunk any misinformation about DEI, affirmative action, welfare, and crime. And then I can put things into context on why things are the way they are. I think those are just a couple things off the top of my head that I'm kind of thinking about. Okay. Potential talking points. Welfare join Black people. Black wealth and growth. Women rights, redlining, burning cities, DEI, affirmative action, hurt Black people, question mark, culture, Black people, question mark. Did um so okay. After established Republicans are far worse than Democrats, have the things Democrats done benefited black people? I think the welfare conversation, of course, is multifaceted. It wasn't created for black people, so like establishing that immediately is important. Uh, Black people crime. So my guess, the welfare conversation, I could do this. Uh, Welfare wasn't created for black people. Welfare. I mean, I'm willing to acknowledge the issues, but I think the comparison model is just appropriate. Welfare impact for white versus single mothers. Party created welfare. Have Democrats tried to improve it versus Republicans. So those are kind of places I can take it. Um, uh, Affirmative action DEI. Why were these created? I mean, I know why. Of course, black people were, you know, not looked at properly. People did not take them seriously. They would give all the benefits to white people, their friends, their family. If you have a certain look or for a certain name, you would get denied in terms of application. Why were these created? If they help black people, these stereotypes more. Black people crime. Policies that help with this versus Republican. Okay, I have a pretty good outline of my notes for this one. Will I engage in the feminism conversation? I mean, I could. Feminism has ruined women. I'd have to do like a whole research on like feminism and women. But the Democratic Party has failed Black America. I can really go into policies. Single motherhood are the number one cause of problems in Black communities. Single motherhood is the number one problem. What would I characterize as the number one problem in Black communities? Obviously, racism. That's bad. Um, you think you know what? I'll just leave it there for these notes, and then on another stream, I'll go over some other stuff. But before I wrap up, All right, I'm not gonna watch the full Candace Owens things, but I'm gonna watch the highlights. Candace Owens, Andrew Wilson debate highlights, and that's where we're gonna end this stream.
Here's that.
So I don't plan to watch the full debate for Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens because, I mean, I don't like Andrew Wilson and I don't believe in conspiracy theories. With that said, I did want to react to some of the highlights because I heard Andrew Wilson got cooked. And, you know, I'll support Candace. We'll support the Black Queen. Here we go.
Painful internet silence.
So are you good with her asking the question or
He
no?
said no.
Waiting for the clip.
Okay. So you want to wait for the clip first. Okay. You guys have it in the back? Okay, beautiful.
Actually, let me quick little thumbnail image. All right, let's get back. Let's get back into Andrew Wilson getting cut.
You need the Jeopardy.
Team told me they had it, so
That's what I heard. Okay, there we
come
go.
on, guys.
Just like,
Okay, I don't know what I was looking at there. Let's look at this clip. Trying to find like the clip that ended her career. I think it was this one.
which one of the charges against, or all of them, do you think Tyler Robinson is guilty of?
The specific charge?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think is that Tyler Robinson shot Charlie Kirk.
Yeah, but of the 7 charges that he's being charged.
Yeah. Can we list them real quick? I'll tell you exactly which ones. We'll pull them up.
Well, do you know any of the charges that he's up for right now?
Yeah, of course. But I want to make sure that we have them listed.
Yeah, but like can you name one? Because my general perspective is that you don't actually care about this case. You're not following the case.
That's the question. You're just not following it enough.
It seems pretty, like, if you're going to engage and you're going to say the evidence is overwhelming that Tyler Robinson is guilty, I just think that you should, like,
right.
Can you tell me one?
Then let's do the counter. You can really, hang on. This is a great gotcha.
No. You just got to ask me, play clips out of context, put me in the hot seat. So please just answer the question.
This is fair. Name all 7 since you've been following the case.
Okay, sure. You name one.
So she asked him, "Can you name the charges?" Andrew Wilson is like, "Yeah, I know the charges." All right, can you name one? Yeah, pull them up. Can you name one? You know what? You list them. Oh my goodness, these manipulative debate tactics are so cringe, bro. This man, people like Andrew Wilson have this ego that they have to look like they're always dominating the conversation, and I'm like, bro, you're not that guy. You're not that impressive. Relax. I know you have to look good for all the kind of male simps that support you for some reason, but that's cringe. There's no integrity there.
Yeah, you named all 7.
I'm happy to do that, but can you name one?
I think he's been charged with murder.
That's actually incorrect.
Okay, great. Now name all 7.
He doesn't even. This is like
name all 7.
And I
can you name all 7?
I can.
Then do it.
Sure, you don't have to
do it. No, do it. I'll count them. Go ahead.
You don't have to put your fingers up.
Okay, hang on. Name them.
Yeah, sure.
Name them.
The first charge is aggravated murder.
Honestly, if I'm Candace, I would have been like, all right, I'll name all 7, but can you admit you don't know what the charges are? And of course, his ego won't allow him. Oh man, that's pathetic.
Because that's what carries a death sentence in the state of Utah. No,
Next.
that is literally not murder.
Okay.
And
Next.
so just for people, I don't have to do it in a time limit. There's nothing going on. And just to explain to people the difference of why that really matters and shows that he doesn't actually care about this at all is because aggravated murder, it's narrowly defined,
Just
and because
avoiding
it
the
carries
question.
a death sentence. I'm going to answer the question.
Okay,
You're
I'm
just going to
waiting.
recognize that your strategy of thinking that people are intimidated when you try to put a time constraint doesn't work, and you'll be better the next time you debate.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Candace. Oh, whoa, Candace. Whoa, Candace. This is not the Candace Owens I know. Candace Owens I know is not this skilled. This is a different level. She leveled up. She got her own show, leveled up, got a little cuckoo in the Cocoa Puffs, but like, shut up.
Got it. I got it. Give me the other ones.
The more you cut me off, the longer I'll take. Do you want to just wait for me to finish of why that's a big difference so that
No,
people
I just
don't walk
want
away?
you to list the charges.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. You just don't get to pretend that there's a time constraint for me to do that.
Well, how long does it take you to list 7 charges?
Because I'm speaking. You just got to.
It sounds like you're just delaying it because you don't know them.
I know all 7 of them,
Then
and I'm
tell
going to
me
say
them.
again because you're going to get embarrassed. You don't have to rush this. I'm also showing an example of a very flawed debate strategy. I actually am under no time constraint.
I got one.
Great. The second charge is the felony discharge of a weapon. The next 2 charges are for obstruction of justice.
Okay.
The next 2 charges are for witness tampering. And the
What's
final,
the specific charges, though?
that is them. Obstruction of justice,
Both of
obstruction
those-
of justice, witness tampering, witness tampering.
Okay, and there's no other specifics to them.
Well, I can tell you why he's being
No,
charged
no,
with
no.
it.
Just the charges and then 7?
Yeah. See, it's a bad thing is when you try to be an a-hole and it doesn't work.
What's the 7th?
The last charge is violence. And
Oh man, she's completely correct. She's completely, even though I'm like, yeah, I don't agree with your conspiracies. She's completely correct here on how Andrew Wilson acts. He needs to be the guy. He uses these bad faith debate tactics, and when you just don't have mastery of the facts like Candace does, you're just gonna get cooked. He thinks he could just walk in here and bully Candace because she's a woman. Probably, I'll be honest.
front of a minor.
Okay, got it. So then he's being charged with murder. You just say aggravated murder. That's the distinction. You just want to.
It's a massive. It's
Got
like
it.
you cannot
Massive.
say murder versus aggravated
Massive
murder.
distinction.
This gets to the entire crux of why him being up for the death sentence. And I actually find the defense's filing about why this is not aggravated to be very compelling of why it's not aggravated murder. I actually think that if the state was going to even try to pull this off, they should have charged him with just murder. And then I do also, again, want to stress to audiences that debate strategy of thinking that you have to speak faster or somebody puts your hand up and they try to pretend like it's some sport. I think he thinks it's a blood sport. It's not. It's about being right and being principled when you're engaging. And you can make mistakes. I make mistakes all the time, but at least be genuine in pretending that you care about this case enough to know 1 of the 7 charges that are up against Tyler Robinson.
Oh my God, she filet mignon. She cooked the shit out of him. They had a 4-hour conversation. Hey man, this is only 6 minutes. I'm not watching the full thing. I personally don't care about this case enough to watch the full thing, because there's other things I find more important to me. But the character of debate is really highlighted in this. So shout out Candace
Robinson when you say the evidence is overwhelming that he's guilty. If you would like to move to final statements, I'm fine. I want to make sure Andrew has had the time that he has requested.
I think your team would like to pull up the 7 charges that he just asked you about. If
Sure.
you guys want to pull that up just to confirm the 7 you went through. Can you guys zoom in a little bit? For
Aggravated murder, felony discharge of a firearm, obstruction of justice, which is counts 3 and 4, 5 and 6, tampering with a witness, and count 7.
Violent
I said offense in the presence of a
in front
minor.
of a child?
Yeah.
That's
So
what I said.
they tried to pull the receipts on her and got cooked. He wanted to get this W so bad. He pulled up receipts and got cooked. This is embarrassing.
5-6, tampering witness, 3rd-degree felony. Now, I did notice something I just was curious about. If I'm just wondering, when you pulled out your phone just before you asked that question, did somebody by chance text you that question?
You can check my phone.
I'm just curious.
No, you can absolutely not. I have not had
Damn.
one communication with a single.
So he got cooked the first time. Then he was like, all right, let me pull up receipts and prove her wrong the second time. And then he tried to go, someone told you the answer, and tried it a third time. Yo, tough.
Single person,
Embarrassing.
not even my producers who are in there this whole time we were here. You want to check my phone? I'm happy to do it because you're just going to get double embarrassed. Where's my phone?
You want to
should
see
do
it?
Triple
I'm just
embarrassing.
curious. Yeah.
You can literally do that. Here you go. PBD, you're the moderator.
Okay.
Take it.
Let's see
See
it.
if anyone was texted at all during this debate
All right.
about the violent charges or anything.
I'm looking through this. You give me permission.
You
so I'm
have
looking
full
at the, I'm not gonna
permission to
give
go through
names.
my phone. I don't need to
So
cheat.
the last one has nothing to do with it. It's just a compliment.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't even read my text messages.
That's
so
a compliment.
he's reading them.
You're okay. You'll give me permission. I'm
Yes.
just going to read 3 of them
Yes.
to 11:32 because after that, I don't need to read it.
And you know their texts. Could have been Telegram. Could have been something.
All
like
I
that.
have is Signal. You can check that too.
Yo, he's still going for it. This is bad, bro. This is bad. This is bad. These are our political pundits, man. The people that people are listening to for political knowledge, integrity, political analysis are people like Andrew Wilson, Tim Pool, Joe Rogan, Hassan Piker. It's not good. It's not good. It's not good.
I only have Signal. Telegram I used in Russia,
Okay.
And that was a downloaded for
I'll
Russia.
take your word for it.
Yeah.
Then
I don't
you-
need to
I mean,
I
after
deeply
3
care about this
tries,
case.
you're
I don't need to
gonna go
I
pretend
get
to
it.
know
If you
stuff that
deeply
I
care
don't
about
know.
the case,
When we set out to create a shoe that blends comfort.
Get the fuck out of here. There's no way he put a shoe at the end of this. Okay. I just wanted to watch that real quick, but I'm going to end the stream now. I'm going to do a debate panel in like half an hour. So appreciate everybody tuned in. Y'all have a good one. Take care. Peace.
It's true. Republicans have tried to turn liberal into a bad word. Well, liberals ended slavery in this country.
A Republican president ended slavery.
Yes, a liberal Republican. What happened to them? They got run out of your party. What did liberals do that was so offensive to the Republican Party, Senator? I'll tell you what they did. Liberals got women the right to vote. Liberals got African Americans the right to vote. Liberals created Social Security and lifted millions of elderly people out of poverty. Liberals ended segregation. Liberals passed the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act. Liberals created Medicare. Liberals passed the Clean Air Act, the Clean Water Act. What did conservatives do? They opposed every one of those programs, every one. So when you try to hurl that word liberal at my feet as if it were something dirty, something to run away from, something that I should be ashamed of, it won't work, Senator, because I will pick up that label and I will wear it as a badge of honor.